Now, Matty,
Yes,
you've got a few questions for me, mate.
I do. So, since you asked me to come on last night, I was like, because I asked you so many questions anyway.
Yeah.
So
May as well put them on
we
the
might
show.
as well put them on the show. I spoke to my mate Riser, and who's a big Supercoach guy. Who's
Supercoach 365 for the
Yeah.
listeners of that.
Yeah.
Rises from, yeah.
and he helped me with these questions. But I've got about 7 or 8 here for you. Is Dunster a trap? Plenty of trading in.
Yeah, so he's pretty talented, Dunster. The issue is that Bailey Simonson is back this week and he's been named on the extended bench. Where the appeal is, though, is that he's a cheapie that Parramatta play the 3 major buy rounds. So, you know, with Wanga Blake lurking there, Bailey Simonson, Zach Sini, there's all these options. I'm not going to go and call him a trap because I'm a little... I said last week that I thought there was a million potential cheapies, but none of them stood out as a buy. And I thought a week on we'd get clarity on a lot of them. None of them really stand out. So Parramatta also have a good draw. So I know he started poorly week 1. He wasn't great on the weekend score-wise, but if he can lock down the job, he'll make great coin, free up cash this week, importantly, and cover some major buy-outs. So I'm not going to call him a trap, but by the time this game kicks off on the weekend, he could be out of the side and Simonson could come in. So, look, I'm tempted by him, I'll be honest, provided he plays this week.
Okay. Holding Cam Pereira. Yes or no?
Yeah, I understand it. And, like, he's got the... Put it this way. Great matchup this week with the Dolphins. I know defensively they've been pretty resilient this season, but break-even of 70... The 16 from his score against the Dragons 2 weeks ago will drop out of his rolling average after this week, in which case it'll be 63 v the Broncos and whatever he scores this week. If he scores well against the Dolphins in a very playable matchup, if your CT Dub's a bit short this week, there could be more money to be made. So, yeah, as long as... Particularly when we've got Warbrick there and Alamotti, who also both look like sells,
Yep.
there is merit in holding him one more week.
Okay. Kiraz to Garrick or Manu?
Oh, that's the question this week, isn't it? I am very fortunate to have both. Look, Garrick versus the Tigers, and we'll get a big captaincy section later because there are so many great matchups, but Garrick against the Tigers on that left edge, Manu against the Dragons. Mate, they can both go 180. Look, on what we've seen in a small sample size of Joey Manu at 5'8", I think Manu's the play this week, and then you want them both, but I think Manu's the play.
Now that leads perfectly into this question, which obviously is going to be a guess from both of us, but how many weeks do we reckon Manu is going to be at 6?
So interesting.
It's fascinating.
Because I do not like Joey Manu in the halves because he doesn't pass the ball. It's not his game. He's a ball runner, first and foremost. So I'm concerned that it's going to stunt the attack and it's going to stunt James Tedesco. I don't know Tedesco, but I was a little bit tempted by him. But all those sweeping plays, I just don't really see Joey Manu going and playing out the back. He'll just dummy go himself, and that's why he's such an elite Supercoach at 5'8", because he has a million runs, bust tackles, puts himself in the right positions. It's a great defensive play because Sammy Walker has a crack, but he's very small. He's still young. It'll shore up the defensive line a lot. But I think it's only a question of time will tell, won't it?
And it's going to depend a lot on how Walker goes back in New South Wales Cup as well.
Walker's probably going to go to New South Wales Cup and set up 6 tries.
Oh, he's going to kill it. The thing is, like, you back Manu to go well against any team, right? But like, this sounds obvious, but he can toy with like the lower teams. He's got the Dragons this week. Now the Warriors aren't a low team, but they've got the Warriors after that. Cowboys are struggling. Penrith. Then they've got the Dragons again.
Jesus.
Then they got the bye. Then they got the Dogs. So Manu can rack up a couple of big games in that time. And this isn't even Supercoach-wise. This is just
in general.
rugby league-wise. And force Robbo to just not drop him. So it's going to be a really interesting watch over the next 6 weeks, I reckon.
And the attack of Sammy Walker, what he brings to the side. I love Sammy Walker.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily need more attack. They've got attacking weapons everywhere.
Yeah.
So
that's
I
true.
understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one. Who's your halfback over the Origin period?
This is an interesting one because you'd be so reluctant. You'd think you can't sell Cleary or Moses, but we both think that Nico's going to be the 5'8" for the Blues.
Yeah.
In which case, they will both miss the 3 major Origin weeks. The interesting one in particular is Nicho Hynes, who he will miss, if he gets picked, of course, he'll miss round 16 through Origin duties, and then the Sharks have to buy round 17. So that's 2 weeks in a row without him in your side. So he probably looms as a potential sell. I see the opportunity to get in someone like Mitch Moses, who will play the 3 major Origin weeks. But then even that, after round 17, he plays the Dragons.
Yeah.
Okay. But on the flip side, Penrith are likely to be top 2 or 3, 4 at worst, you'd imagine, around that point. Cleary's a prime resting candidate by Penrith.
Yeah.
He'll want to back up, but they're like, they don't need to. It's a long season. Whereas Nicho and the Sharks, they're going well enough, but not killing it. So he'll want to back up, and the Sharks will need him to more. What do you reckon?
I think the Panthers have learnt that resting Cleary is the go, because I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021 where they didn't rest him, and then I think it might have been 2021. And even though they won the comp in 2021, it wasn't the most they didn't blow the teams away. Like, they scraped past the Eels. They were tough against the Storm, and they beat South. I think it was that year. And if it wasn't, it was the year before where they ended up didn't winning. Last year, Cleary gets suspended for 5 weeks, and he absolutely destroyed the final series. Absolutely destroyed it. So when it comes to prime rest candidates, I reckon Cleary of the senior, Ivan, I reckon he's learned his lesson. So, yeah, this is up to you what to do here, but yeah.
The answer is, at this stage, I'm watching through to round 13 and then reassessing.
Yeah. If
one of them's sitting at $1 million and one's 800K, it'll probably just be like, I'll bank this 200K and then sell that person. So, I said, draw-wise, Nicho, I think, is the more obvious sell, but for that resting risk, I think Cleary, it probably balances out. So, to answer your question, Rizza, I don't know at this stage.
Last one. Obviously, because you were talking about Mitch Moses before. If you do get him in, is it too many Eels if you have Dylan Brown as well?
Yeah, so with that first major buy round in round 13, Moses would play it, and obviously the Eels are on it, so they become very popular at this stage. The following week, the Eels have the bye. Right. And these are the weeks that we sort of overlook. We had a good chat about it on the SC Playbook podcast last night, and the rounds following the major bye weeks, there's 3 teams on the bye each week. Surprisingly, not a major impact on the Origin relevant players, but I will put an article up on that in the next week or two. So, but yeah, round 14, Eels on the bye, they will be missing. You could be missing a lot if you've overinvested in them. So take note of that. But yeah, like Mitchy Moses or Jerome Hughes, if they're around 600K and Nicho or Cleary are $1 million, you bank 400K from them and get them for like an extra 3 or so rounds over that period. So it adds up.
Cool. Done.
Matty,
thanks, Riser.
Matty, new bloke jerseys.
Yes.
Fire away, son.
New bloke jerseys. For the reason I'm laughing is because I did the ad for the bloke in a bar, just the beer, last Monday, and I had to have about 3 goes at it. It was so embarrassing. Bloke jerseys. Now, they go on sale next Monday, 6 p.m, so that's the 24th of April. 6 p.m, New South... there's no daylight saving, it doesn't matter. You would go to the bloke in a bar Instagram, you see Nicho Hynes in it, Campbell Graham in it. They look much better in it than I do. But it's just, I love it. I've been walking around in it since I got mine last week. So if you go on early next Monday, the prices are going to be, I think it's about $99.
99 early on?
Yeah, early on. So if you want to get it cheaper, make sure you're there next Monday. We only have a limited amount too. So once they're gone, they're gone. It's not like last year where we had like 2 batches. This is going to be the only batch this year. So, make sure you're ready on Monday to get one of these jerseys because it's an absolute cracker. Cool. They're sick, hey? They're just... Have a look at them. I love the colours too.
I love the 23 on the side.
Yeah, that's cool.
The goat number.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, Monday, 6 p.m.
I want to say Magic Round absolutely flooded with them as per last year.
Yeah.
Matty, a quick stat deep dive, the stats that caught my eye this week. Jacob Host, pretty popular buy this week. People looking to free up a bit of cash, particularly with Koloamatangi out long term. Looks pretty well locked into a big minute role on the edge. He played out 63, 64, I think it was on the weekend, so not 80, but decent enough. I have my reservations. In the first 6 games last year for the Bunnies, he played big minutes. He averaged 63 and a half minutes for 36 points.
Okay.
Which is not great going. Now, he's been better in his 2 starting games on the edge this season, but...
last year, he got off the bench last year, didn't he? I know it doesn't really make a difference.
He did, but he must have come on and played good minutes.
Yeah, right. Interesting, because South's back row is Arrow, Koloamatangi and Cam Murray. So I wonder if he played in the middle at all last year. I can't remember.
Which would be even worse for your base stats. I'm trying to work... Did Arrow shift to a middle early on last season? It was like the first 6 rounds. I was a while ago.
I thought, interesting.
Unless I've stuffed something up, likely.
No.
But yeah, so look, Jacob Host, I don't think he's a bad buy. I think people need to be aware that he's not the home run that I think people are expecting. The thing is, I think he requires the odd attacking stat to score well enough and make some decent cash, but he's on the left edge for the Bunnies.
Yeah.
Damn. Will he stay left now that Koloamatangi's out, or do you see, it's a tough one, do you see him or Cheekham playing right and left?
Well, Cheekham played left to start the year, but that was because Arrow was out.
Yeah.
But now Arrow shifted to the middle anyway. So I don't know.
Either way, the whole left-right side argument of the Bunnies, it's becoming more relevant because of how good the right edge is.
Well, the right's getting all the ball. So
Sonia Taruba, people looking to offload him this week as well. I would prefer to offload Warbrick, Khan-Pereira, Alamotti first, but the stat that did catch my eye, the first 3 weeks of the season he based 31, 38 and 44. So even if he didn't have any major attacking stats, he still scored well. But his base the last 3 rounds has been down to 26 per game. So just something to be wary of there. I think he can pick that up again because he's an absolute goer. But if that maintains, he makes him more of a risky play, as we've seen in recent weeks in the starting 17. Kurt Mann, starting this week for the Knights. Last week, scored 69 points in 56 minutes with 67 in base, which is absurd work rate. He had 45 tackles and 11 runs. Of those 11 runs, every single one of them were over 8 metres for the maximum 2 points. So the K-Man, look, I know people are a little bit interested in him this week. Adam Elliott's due back next week against the Eels, so I think that'll impact him a fair bit. So he's definitely wouldn't be going early on him, but one to watch. And then the last one is Joey Manu. We touched on it earlier, but averaging 101 points in 4 games at 5'8", 191 on the Dragons last year. Mouth-watering.